أهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر وعبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem, editor of YamMichigan.com. This show is brought to you in cooperation between YamMichigan.com and US Arab Radio. YAM Michigan is the fastest growing digital business magazine serving the Arab American communities in Michigan. US Arab Radio is one of the largest ethnic radios in North America, reaching millions of listeners in 13 states and the Middle East. Before we start the show, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our founder and the president of US Arab Radio for giving us this opportunity to reach out to you today. This is a beautiful day. Today is Friday, April 16th, 2021, and the fourth day of Ramadan, the month of fast, the month of mercy and giving. The weather is a bit cold and cloudy here in Michigan, and we are here to answer your questions as we discuss fasting and its benefits. In the second half of the program, we're going to be talking to Dr. Shamma about the vaccine, fasting, and fertility. That's going to be the second part after 8:30. The number here is 248-557-3300. Give us a call should you have any questions or comment. As you well know, fasting includes ample benefits and challenges. For those who are not familiar with what Muslims do during this month, they fast from dawn till dark. And they abstain from eating and drinking water, smoking, and other activities. That can be resumed after dark, but this is the challenge presented for them to do for a month. And Muslims follow the lunar calendar and it started on the 13th and will end pretty close to the 13th of May or the 12th, depending on, the sighting of the moon and other factors. When it comes to fasting, as I mentioned before, includes ample benefits and challenges. How can we do it while reaping the most benefits out of this great month? We asked our friend Richard Jordan all the way from Saudi Arabia to be with us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Jordan.
Good morning, Khalil. How are you?
Good. How are you? How are things in Saudi Arabia?
Good. It's not cold like you said it was in where you are, but it's very nice. It's a lovely Friday, and just right now I'm getting my caffeine headache.
Sounds good. Mr. Jordan is a health and wellness consultant and a corporate wellness specialist. Designs employee wellness initiatives and facilitates cultures of wellness that enrich the lives of the employees along with their families. He is passionate about the parallels between Islamic lifestyle practices and modern holistic health sciences. Before we start, how did you end up in Saudi Arabia, and how did you become a Muslim? And wellness.
Yeah,
it's a great combination.
Yeah, thank you. I will just briefly. My family, my parents, me and my sister, we all came here in 1977 originally, and from the United States. I'm from Miami, Florida, and Miami, Saudi Arabia started the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So, weather-wise, where I am anyway. So we came here over 40 years ago, and on and off, I've been living here back and forth from here in the United States all my life. That's how it initially happened, and in my teenage years, as I began studying religions and studying comparative religions, And I actually was sent back to the United States to go to high school. I went to an all-boys Catholic school. So I immersed myself in a lot of different paths, trying to find the right answer. And the one that spoke to me the most was Islam. And so when I was 19, I said the Shahada, and that's the backstory.
Welcome. Yes, wonderful. And how did you get into wellness?
I've been active in I wouldn't say I'm not much of an athlete, but I've been exercising, and I've been in martial arts, but I've been exercising since I was a kid and never stopped. So I've always been interested in physical fitness, but I was just like many people, which I'm sure we'll kind of talk about today. I compartmentalized health. So it was like I was working out, but I didn't necessarily have a good diet, definitely didn't have a good sleep pattern. And then I got into the spinal health and wellness industry in Miami. And I was working with a lot of people with back pain and neck pain, and which is pretty much 80% of the population. And I started to see the parallels between, the connectedness between these aspects of health, from mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, sleep, stress management, and all of these things, how they work together. And so I ended up getting a holistic health certification, as well as a personal trainer certification, a nutrition certification, and a corporate wellness certification. And it's really, I've been for almost 20 years now, I've been in this industry, and it's what I'm passionate about, but for the purpose of helping people to show up optimized every day as their best selves. And no matter what their particular reason is, everybody has different reasons to show up as their best self. Right?
Absolutely. What caught my attention listening to you talking about Muhammad Faris was the term "fast like a pro." This is, most people kind of cringe when I tell them, non-Muslims, when I tell them that we fast from dawn till dark, and we abstain from this and from that. But there are a lot of benefits, and as you mentioned, there are psychological, mental, spiritual, and health benefits as well. And what does it mean when you say fast like a pro?
Well, really, to put professionalism and efficiency and effectiveness into the fast in order to firstly to become more God conscious, which is the purpose, the ultimate purpose of why we're doing this, and then after that, not to compromise your health, because fasting is a stressor. We call it hormesis. So it's the medical term is hormesis, which means a type of stressor that is beneficial for you in the end. So fitness, working out is a stressor on your body. It breaks you down, and then you sleep and you build yourself back up again. Fasting is a tremendous stressor, but the benefit that we get out of what it does to our body cellularly, right? What it does in the form of that stressor is very beneficial. But if we have inflammatory lifestyle practices going on along in parallel with the fast, then we can actually make ourselves end up more unhealthy by the end of Ramadan. So that's a reality. It's a reality, I'm sure, in the United States, definitely a reality here in Saudi Arabia. A lot of people end up in a state of compromised health or compromised energy. They gain weight, they're sluggish, they're bloated, they're cramping, they're not addressing the fast in an optimized way. So fast like a professional means that it means to really scale back, take a look at your routines, and optimize your routine so that you get the most out of the fast.
Absolutely. And let's first talk about the diet. I mean, what are the things that we should do, we shouldn't do, so we can get the most benefit out of that?
So that you're starting with the most complicated of the pillars of health. There is no one size fits all diet, and I always hesitate to recommend any sort of one size fits all prescription when it comes to dietary approaches. But there are some things we shouldn't do, right? So it's easier to talk about those than it is to talk about exactly what to do, because there's so many biopsychosocial circumstances. Definitely, we should not be filling our our meals, whether it's iftar, whether it's suhoor, whether it's the meal after iftar. It should not be primarily made up of processed foods. Now I say that, and everybody says, "Oh, Richard, everything's processed these days." Okay, there's some truth to that. Yeah. But when I say processed food, or when I say real food, I mean when you look at the food you're eating, you can pretty much identify it. You can identify where it came from, right? Like it looks as close to its original source as possible, with very few steps between the time it was harvested or slaughtered or whatever the type of food is, and the time it got to your plate. So, refined, stripped down rice, refined, stripped down flour, sugars, and lots of additives, preservatives, and things like that. They kind of should be the foods you eat maybe 20% of the time, not 80% of the time. Sure. You should be filling your diet with fibrous, colorful vegetables that you can identify came, from the ground, from the tree to your plate. Animal protein, you can identify it as what it is, and healthy fats. So I would say that's if you're eating things that come out of packages, boxes, wrappers with ingredients lists on them, that's where you want to start. And it's that simple. Like if you can make sure the majority of food didn't come with an ingredients list in a box, package, or wrapper, you're going to have a lot of success. But yeah, other than that, you don't want to belly bomb yourself right after iftar. We're all hungry, and we eat a lot faster than our body can tell us that we're full. So it requires mindfulness. And I tell people, put down the utensil between bites. Take a deep breath. Take a minute to breathe before you eat, and really commit to the notion of chewing your food enough to be, and not just eating mindlessly, and then your satiety signals don't have enough time to tell you that you're full, and then you can't eat 1/3 for your food, 1/3 for your water, 1/3 for your breath. By the time you're finished eating your iftar, you're completely uncomfortable, cramping, bloating, and nobody wants that.
Absolutely. What I do is and please let me know if this is a good practice or not. I can use myself as an example. When I break iftar in the fast in the evening, first thing I do is I drink a little bit of water, warm water, and then one piece of date, and then I go do the prayer. I take about 10-15 minutes. Then I come back and I start with soup and salad. I try to pace myself as much as possible. And you're right, sometimes, it's the habit of just we want to eat. But, is that a good practice, or should we start with hard food immediately?
No, I love what you're doing. I think that hydrating a little bit, and not too much, right? So like you're having a little bit of warm water, that's great. Some people, they chug water. It's not a good idea right after fasting and being minerally depleted. But yeah, some water, some warm water, a date, that's amazing. And for those who like coffee, maybe a little bit of caffeine, and waiting a little bit of time, and then having a little bit, like scaling it up a little bit, having some soup. That's a great idea, and a little bit of food. Or alternatively, have a few dates, have some water, and maybe some soup right there, right when you break your fast, something light, and then try to wait an hour or try to wait strategically to eat a good balanced meal before Salatul Isha and Taraweeh, because that would be an amazing time to have a proper, responsible meal, right? A lot more than what you had to break your fast. And then you're going to be standing, you're going to be praying, inshallah, for long enough to where that amount of movement will truly help you to digest and give the food that you've eaten a purpose. Like in other words, you're gonna use it as energy. You're gonna shuttle it into your muscles for future stored energy, and not necessarily store it as body fat.
Absolutely. What we're gonna do, Richard, we're gonna take a short break for commercial, and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
While we've been staying safe at home, scientists have been on a journey. The destination, a COVID-19 vaccine. This journey began decades ago with research into other coronaviruses. Scientists built from there with months of research and development, cooperation with other experts worldwide, and clinical trials on tens of thousands of volunteers of diverse race, age, and health status. They arrived at a safe, effective vaccine, and hundreds of thousands in Michigan have already been vaccinated. But the next step is ours. We need to get the vaccine when we can. Keep wearing masks correctly and taking precautions until we reach our destination, freedom from COVID-19 and getting back to the lives we love. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, and seafood dinners. Plus, they offer big trays of your favorite food and so much more. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab is located at 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills and is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So stop in or call Kashat's today at 248-538-9552. That number again, 248-538-9552. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied. At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain. Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We're talking to Richard Jordan, a health and wellness specialist, about some of the best practices for us to benefit from our fast. And before we went on break, we were talking about the main meal in the evening and what to avoid, and generally speaking, because everyone has their own way of eating and every culture is different, but in general, these are the general things. Richard, one thing I noticed, and specifically in our community, is people gorge on sweets during Ramadan. I can't eat them for various reasons, but and some of these people have diabetes. It's like, what are you doing, guys? Well, we need the energy for fasting. Actually, you really don't need that energy. Is that correct?
That is definitely correct. It's a great question, and I do want to start off by saying I know it's difficult to break that dependency on sugar. It's a very, very addictive substance, and I want to be sensitive to those who have a hard time breaking that and feel sluggish, and they will feel sluggish if they've had years of eating sweets and sugars and high glycemic index foods. But it takes a little bit of time for you to adjust out of that, and I encourage everybody to look up metabolic flexibility, which is an amazing phenomenon that happens when our bodies become healthy and able to switch between sugar and body fat as energy. And people who eat too high GI foods, glycemic index foods, and sugars all the time will struggle to do that for maybe a few days or maybe even a few weeks. But once your body realizes, okay, we're not going to get any sugar, your body fat is stored energy, and it is a very good energy. In fact, our brains prefer the energy or the fuel that comes from our body fat. So once you're able to tap into your body fat, you can get really energized, and you won't need to continue to feed yourself with sugars. And the fasting in general does help people to achieve that. But if you fast and then break it with a bunch of sugar, it's going to be a big issue, you know. So yeah, I hope that's.
So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to food is suhoor. How important is for us to have something in suhoor, and what some of the ideal things to have?
So, you know, it's the sunnah. So I think it's important for us to pay attention to that. And I will say that in the Hadith tradition, it says even if it's just some water. So I think some people should pay attention to what works for them. Me personally, my suhoor is usually hydration. I'm not telling people what to do, but I don't eat a meal. If I do, like this morning, it was water and lemon. That's it. So I don't think it's natural, normal, healthy for us to eat a substantial balanced meal. I think that's become the new way. I think that's what most people do. But if you think about the history, the 1,400-year Islamic tradition, I don't think if you look deeply into it that was the way to have a substantial meal for suhoor. I think maybe some dates, maybe some people like to eat oats, maybe some yogurt, maybe and again hydration. I think you would find that yes, you're going to be hungry. You will be hungry, but you will get used to that after a few days, and your body will give your body the chance to tap into that body fat reserve. Yeah.
Let's move to the routine. Normally we sleep during the night and we get up and go to work in the morning, and now it's a different clock. What's the best way to adjust to the routine? And should we nap during the day or not? Or should we tough it out so we can get the best benefit out of fasting?
Yeah, great question. It's if we have work schedules that enable us to take a nap somewhere in the early afternoon, that's amazing, and we should make use of that. I definitely don't recommend napping, getting off of work and coming and napping before iftar, before Maghrib. I don't think that's circadian rhythm science shows that that's going to be bad for your nighttime sleep. So sure. It's going to get you all imbalanced if you try that. But I realize, when I used to fast in the United States, I know as Americans, we got to go to work at normal hours, and our schedules don't sort of adjust like they do here in Saudi Arabia, for instance. But I will tell you that for that reason, it is of utmost importance to optimize your nighttime routine, and this is the subject of sleep hygiene. So everyone should look up sleep hygiene and see all these. Sleep hygiene is basically habits, practices, rituals that are conducive to sleeping well on a regular basis. So what is our sleep hygiene normally, and what is our sleep hygiene during Ramadan? Because it's important. So try, sitting up under a bunch of artificial lights, watching TV, letting a bunch of blue light in from your screen, your TV, your laptop, your phone, and then trying to go to sleep all of a sudden at a responsible hour is not going to be very easy. So I know it's hard, but this is a month of sacrifice. So I encourage people, what can you fast from when it comes to such things like that too? Like disconnect from those devices, because they impair your sleep quality. And start with 30 minutes, but preferably an hour according to the science, winding down before your designated bedtime. Pick a designated bedtime. Preferably it should be, no later than midnight, but at least a little bit before midnight, because sleep before midnight is definitely of higher quality. And yes, we're going to get less sleep. Last night I slept for 4 hours, woke up for suhoor and had my water and my lemon and all that. And then after prayer and after Fajr, I slept for a couple more hours. That's the best routine. It's the best you can do. But if you can get the more sleep that you can get in the nighttime dark block, is going to be more restorative, more high quality sleep cycles than if you try to sleep too long into the morning or stay up too late and sleep too long into the morning. You're going to have bad performance in your day. you're going to have brain fog, you're going to feel groggy, you might even you'll have hormonal disruption. There are all types of things that can happen.
Absolutely. Last time you mentioned something, and it really, from my experience, I find it very important, which is the more sleep we get before midnight, the more restful I am, at least, I found out. I used to be a night owl, and now I don't do that, and I've changed about a couple of years ago, and I found out that, I go to bed around 10:30, and the more sleep I get before midnight, the more energetic I am the next day. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. And your example that you just gave of yourself, where you said, I used to be a night owl, that's really important to focus on, because there are a lot of people who say, I'm a night owl, I've never been a morning person. That is usually just someone's way of admitting that they have a sleep imbalance, right? Because you can fix that, and you fixed it, right, Khalil? You fixed it.
Absolutely.
So fixing that is essential for your health. Sleep is the foundation of health. All the other pillars stand on the foundation of sleep. If you don't sleep well on a regular basis, you will not achieve optimal health. So yes, the sleep before midnight is of greater quality sleep for deep sleep. And if you go to sleep around 10:30, 11, you have the opportunity to get good slow wave deep sleep cycles, which repair us physically. And by 2 a.m., generally, you would have hit a deepest level of REM. You'll get into deep REM sleep where you repair yourself psychologically. This does not happen outside of that zone. We are a species that are tied to nighttime sleep. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. We have a Jerry on the phone. He has a quick question. Jerry, we don't have a lot of time. Please, what's the question?
Thank you, Khalil. Happy Ramadan, Kareem.
Same to you.
Khalil, my question to Mr. Richard Jordan. Mr. Richard Jordan, people with the diabetes, during the fast, people who they take an insulin twice a day, or they take metformin tablets, how are we gonna deal with the fasting with a low sugar in the body when you take the insulin, and that, don't you think that will reduce the sugar, will cause the people for some health issue? I would love your answer, and thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I think I understand the question, but I'm not 100% sure I understood, Khalil. If it's a question about taking insulin and how it controls the sugar, but
sounded like more like a medical question to me than it is a diet.
Which I was about to say. I can't answer medical questions, but I still want to say that your diet as a diabetic, while taking insulin, your diet should still, you should move towards a responsible diet, a high glycemic index diet, and as diabetics, you also should make sure you are moving. You need to walk at least, if not more, but start with walking because you want to activate your muscles, make them more insulin sensitive, glucose sensitive, upregulate glucose transports. You've got to walk. Walking is free medicine, and diabetics need to walk. So it might hurt at first. Start with 5 minutes, start with 10 minutes, and then go to 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes. Try to walk before iftar. If you have the ability to walk before iftar, do maybe habit stack your dhikr with your walk before iftar. This is an amazing habit stack.
Yeah. We have about 30 seconds left. I just very quickly talk about exercise.
We are not meant to be sedentary, and as I just said, this is a month where if you want to really tap in and do fat oxidation at the end of your fast, not at the beginning, not during the day, try to get some movement in the last hour or the last couple of hours before iftar, even if it's just walking. And the rest of us who can do more than walking, load your body, do some resistance training. I don't recommend intense cardio, so that would be my recommendation. And maybe take a small walk after a meal. It's not 10 minutes is all it takes.
Absolutely.
Khalil, can we tell people where to find me, or is that
absolutely? This was going to be my last question for you.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody, and barakallah fikum. Please, on Instagram, Richard in Arabia, simple as that, Richard_in_Arabia, and on LinkedIn at Richard Jordan CCWS. And thank you so much for having me on, Khalil.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Please email me that info so we can put it on our website so people can find it. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Happy Ramadan and happy fast. Thanks again, Richard. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days, the path back to celebrations with family, nights out on the town with friends, game days with your favorite sports teams, and the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful, because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicolas Shamma is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shamma has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicolas Shamma is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicolas Shamma at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We want to thank Richard Jordan for being with us this morning to talk about the benefit of fasting. And we're going to move to a different subject now. And as more people are getting vaccinated for protection from COVID-19, the vaccine is becoming part of our lives, including those who, some of us are, trying for a child or pregnant or just worried about future fertility. There's a lot of misinformation, and we asked our dear friend, Dr. Shamma, to be with us today to help us understand, is there anything for us to worry about? How does the vaccine affect fertility and fertility treatment? And also, right now, since we are in Ramadan, does that really play any role in that? Dr. Shamma is a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Center, and he's a pioneer in reproductive medicine and infertility. He has performed more than 8,000 IVF cases worldwide and has more than 150 publications in the field. Good morning, Dr. Shamma, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning to you and to all your listeners, and happy Ramadan and fasting for all of those that are fasting currently.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your kindness. Before we talk about vaccine and fertility, let's for just 1 minute give an update. A lot of people have been vaccinated. There's a concern about J&J. There's also a surge in coronavirus. What's the latest?
So here's where we are currently in Michigan. Michigan, unfortunately, we are one of the top 3 states in the nation in terms of new COVID cases, almost literally 5 new cases per day per 1,000 individuals. So almost 5 extra individuals each day are diagnosed with COVID per 1,000 of the population of the state of Michigan, and more of it in the southeastern part of Michigan than in the northern part of Michigan. And that equates to almost 4,000 people currently hospitalized for COVID. So this is as much as we had back in April of 2020 at the peak of the pandemic last year. Yeah, so a lot of hospitals are suffering from ICU admissions, hospitalizations, and all that stuff. And it clearly is the new variant that has happened is the 117 variant that's affecting the state currently. So, and the only way to override and maybe stop this is, in addition to the social distancing, the masking and all that, and the hand washing and sanitization, is literally to vaccinate people as quickly as possible. I mean, the only reason variants exist, Khalil, maybe I should tell people what a variant is. Variant is a mutated virus. Yes. And here's the problem with SARS-CoV-2 is that it throws variants because relatively few people globally have been vaccinated. And the virus is like, you know what? I've got plenty of people I can infect, and the more I replicate, the more I can mutate. So, in a sense, the variants happen because there's not enough vaccine worldwide and not enough people vaccinated worldwide. And it's like a game of telephone in a sense. The virus repeats what it has heard from before, and so it makes mistakes and it gets a new mutation, and that's the mutation sometimes is for its own benefit, and it's deadlier than the next one. So that's why we're having a surge in Michigan, is because of the variants and because not enough people have been vaccinated. I mean, if you think of it this way, we in Michigan have vaccinated only a portion of our population, and if we all were vaccinated, there is no way for the virus to transmit itself to any significant degree, I should say. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and then we have the problem with the J&J vaccine now, and all of what we call the adenovirus carrying vector vaccines. And maybe I should explain that for a little bit. The J&J was a vaccine that was approved for emergency use authorization by the FDA, and it uses a vector called adenovirus. Adenovirus is a virus that causes infects us usually. It causes like a cold-like symptoms. So companies like J&J, like AstraZeneca, like Sputnik, the Russian one, that there is another variant in that is Chinese. That's also a vaccine that uses adenovirus, and there's one in India too, but we don't have them here in the United States. But the bottom line of all those vaccines, apparently they increase the risk of clot formation, very, very unusual clot formation in the brain and actually in the gut. So there was, and that's why the AstraZeneca vaccine was actually halted to some degree, was never offered emergency use authorization way back when. And then apparently the J&J vaccine, they had those cases of clot formation in the brain, what we call cerebrovascular sinus thrombosis, and that caused, there were like 6 or 7 cases out of the few million people that have been vaccinated with the vaccine, but that equated to literally around 1 case per million over 2 weeks. So if you do it over a year, it's 25 cases over a year, which is substantially higher than what is expected in the United States per year, which is somewhere between 3 to 7 cases per billion. And that's why the FDA said, well, wait a minute, let's hold on using the J&J vaccine. And in Michigan, remember, 200,000 people already took the J&J vaccine. So that is why it was put on hold. But the other 2 vaccines, the Moderna and the Pfizer one, seem to be fairly well tolerated, and there doesn't seem to be an increased risk of such weird types of clot formation. And there is some rationale potentially of explaining why people develop clots, with one caveat. Remember, people that get COVID are 10-fold higher likely to develop clots because of COVID. And the spike protein apparently does something to platelets, platelet factor 4 in particular, and that basically spike protein, and maybe because of the adenovirus vector that had been used to chaperone the spike protein to our bodies in the J&J and the AstraZeneca one and the Sputnik vaccine, the Russian ones, are the ones, because of the adenovirus being around for a while, and our bodies have antibodies against it, they developed antibodies against that platelet factor 4 to some degree, and therefore that is why those people are developing weird clots and maybe low platelets counts at the same time. So, but we don't have the J&J vaccine anymore, and I'm encouraging everyone to strongly and quickly try to get the Pfizer and or the Moderna vaccines.
Absolutely. Now, let's move to, if we may,
pregnancy?
Yes, and pregnancy, and there's some concern about, people ask me, are you going to give your son the vaccine? And I say, yeah, when they authorize it. And they say, well, it may affect his fertility or her fertility. Okay. And I say, you know what, there are no evidence on that. Are there any evidence on that? And then how does it affect pregnancy?
Let's break it down to two things. Number one, fertility, and number two is pregnancy. So let's start with fertility. Yeah. That's easy. We know actually now that COVID, if you get infected with COVID, it clearly affects your fertility, especially for men. And we have no good data on women. But in men, it definitely causes havoc in terms of the semen parameters and therefore potentially the chances of pregnancy. As far as the vaccines themselves, it is categorical so far. There is zero evidence whatsoever, Khalil, that the vaccines, namely the Pfizer and the Moderna ones, currently available ones, affect anything related to fertility in women and or men. That's period. And that's coming from me, the infertility expert in Michigan. So basically, I would encourage people not to worry about taking the vaccines if they're trying to have a child. On the contrary, and that dovetails from the second part of the story, is because COVID is such a horrible thing for pregnant women, namely that they get hospitalized 5 times more, they get 6 times more likely to get to the ICU, and 25 times more of needing mechanical ventilation if they're pregnant, and more importantly, 60-fold chance more of dying if they get COVID while pregnant compared to non-pregnant women. We strongly urge everybody trying to conceive, before they conceive or become pregnant, if they can, to take the vaccines that are currently available to everyone in the state of Michigan. So that is, and it is an emphatic advice to people. Please get vaccinated, especially people trying to conceive.
Absolutely. So they should get vaccinated before they conceive.
Well, before they conceive, they can. And here's the thing about pregnancy itself. The data in the literature so far from Moderna, from Pfizer, the mRNA vaccines, namely in those two ones, those vaccines do not cross the placenta. So there is no evidence whatsoever that it does anything for the babies and for the pregnancy itself, as far as the vaccine. But we know COVID is horrible. So we are advising all our patients currently that come to me is, if they don't have major risks, contraindications for any vaccine use, to actually get the vaccine even while pregnant. The only thing to consider is maybe to avoid it in the first trimester, and let me tell you why. Because with the second shot of either the Moderna or the Pfizer, the risk of a temperature increase is somewhere in the 12 to 15% range. And we know that temperature is not the greatest in the developing fetus in the first trimester, but then, they can take Tylenol for that if they have to. But the point is, if they can avoid the first trimester and do all the social distancing, the masking, the hand washing, the Purell thing, and then maybe in the second and third trimester, of course, take it. And there is a subtle advantage, is that the antibodies created cross to the breast milk and to the baby through the placenta. So the baby is born protected, and especially if they breastfeed again, it's actually protected, double protected.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if people are trying, they come to you, they want to try for a baby, they want to try for different things. Again, you would recommend that they would be vaccinated.
Every single patient I see, our strongest recommendation is, while we're doing the initial workup, which usually takes a month or so, please get vaccinated so I don't have to worry about the women getting COVID while pregnant because of the concerns. Imagine 60-fold more chance of dying, and this is not based on one or two patients. They looked at 20% of the U.S. population, pregnant population, which equates to somewhere around 400,000 people, and those numbers came from that very, very, very large study that was published recently. So the point that I'm saying is, I strongly urge people to avoid getting COVID while pregnant in whatever form, whether it's with a vaccine and or with mitigation efforts, plus mitigation
Absolutely.
efforts.
Absolutely. And if they do get COVID, even if they survive, how does it affect the baby, the fetus?
Well, here's the problem. I mean, COVID carries a lot of risks to pregnant women. I mean, we were talking about people, number one, they might not survive if they get into the ICU and so on. But then the problem is that if they survive, it could affect the baby because it can cause preterm labor. There is almost a significant risk, almost a 30% more risk of going into preterm labor. And that is a major concern because it can result in preterm delivery. And more importantly, there is almost a 25% increased risk of stillbirth. And even more so, especially that pregnancy itself is a clotting time of women's lives, there is 3.5-fold higher risk of clot formation while pregnant if they get COVID during pregnancy. So no matter how I look at it, COVID is horrible for pregnant women. And that's why the advice to get vaccinated beforehand.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just don't understand where does that come from, all this information that people, on social media and others. And one thing about social media that really upsets me, and I'm in the media, and I want to promote using the media, is everybody thinks they're experts. It's like, what are you talking about? Where do you get your information from? So, I have no idea. Just amazing. It's just everybody's an expert, and that's what Facebook really has done to people who really don't know anything about anything. When it comes to fasting, is there people who are trying for children, trying for a baby? How does fasting play a role, or does it play a role in that?
I don't think fasting plays any detrimental role, to be honest with you. It's similar to, fasting is a form of what is now being practiced as intermittent fasting, when people don't eat for a period of time. So I want to break it down to two parts. Number one is fasting, because you asked, I don't think it affects anything in terms of fertility. But remember that fasting is a beautiful state because studies have shown that the rates of depression and anxiety and so on are diminished, and that actually sometimes helps in the ovulatory pattern of women. So fasting is a beautiful phenomenon that allows couples to come together, allows the depression, anxiety part of the story to become less. So that actually improves the chances of, it's a subtle and a sort of insidious advantage, but certainly is there in terms of increasing the chances of conception. And then there is the other part, which is basically if they come and see me and we're going and undergoing in vitro fertilization procedures or whatnot, here there are some studies to show that fasting doesn't really do anything negative, but the concern is the following for people like us. A lot of times, while taking all the hormones that are necessary for in vitro fertilization, patients, women, become hypercoagulable, again, because they have an increased risk of clot formation because the estrogen is high. If you're basically dehydrated because of fasting, so we're not talking about just fasting, we're talking about even not drinking, it can potentially exacerbate concerns related to the procedure itself. So we advise women actually not to fast during that period of time because of this. And actually, during pregnancy, I think most people will actually withhold fasting while pregnant because of the hypoglycemia potentially that can happen and potentially affect the baby.
Sure. And there's going to be my second question about women who are pregnant and
already
fasting
pregnant. I would not advise fasting for them. I would advise I'm no religious expert in any way, shape, or form, but I would advise those women to find another time when they're not pregnant to actually make up for the fasting that they have missed if they want to.
Absolutely, and Islam provides a provision for people who are in, this is called special situations and hardship. Are they permitted not to fast and break the fast and then make it up later on?
And fasting is such a beautiful thing, Khalil. It allows cleansing of the body. It allows a reset of the mind frame in terms of, believing in heavenly powers and so on. Especially these days with COVID and loss and death and hardship. We need something to help us through this horrible time.
Absolutely, the psychological aspect. And this is the last thing I want to ask you is, and the fact that whether it's a vaccination, whether it's fasting, with all that, trying for a baby is a taxing process, and the last thing we want to do is worry about COVID and worry about things like that. So to go back to the vaccination, taking that vaccine relieves us from being worried about all of these things while we're concentrating on a baby. Is that correct?
Well, it is absolutely correct. So vaccine helps women stay safe and stay healthy so that they can provide a beautiful pregnancy and allow a baby to develop. And vaccine prevents mutations that become even worse and worse with time, because that's what viruses do. So no matter how I look at it, the vaccination is the way to go. And I applaud the state what they're trying to do, and they were very quick to stop the J&J vaccine and allow the population to be able to get the other vaccines, and they got them in most centers that are vaccinating people. Namely the Pfizer and the Moderna one.
Yeah. Is there a last thought to share with us, Dr. Shamma?
Well, the last thought is actually I want to wish everybody a beautiful Ramadan, a beautiful month of fasting, beautiful month of prayer, and I want to make sure that everybody gets to take the vaccine and stay healthy, because that's the only way we can actually maybe change the course of this horrible pandemic.
Wonderful. Dr. Shamma, thank you so much. As always, it has been a pleasure talking to you and having you on the program.
Same here. I wish all your listeners the best. Bye.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
Enjoy the first Syrian-style cuisine in Michigan. At Damas Cuisine and Catering, you'll find a wide selection of Syrian foods and sweets in our menu, like frikeh, hoisin, grape leaves with steak, mishawi platter, hot mahashi, char-grilled kebab, shawarma, and much more. Get super fast delivery from Damas Cuisine and Catering right to your door. Order online at damascuisine.com/menu and track your order live. Damas Cuisine and Catering, 28841 Orchard Lake Road in Farmington Hills. Call 248-987-4985.
Are your hands feeling numb? Do you feel pain opening up a jar, turning a key? Are you noticing that your elbow and your shoulder are becoming stiff? Or were you recently injured in your arm? Hello, I'm Dr. Al-Majid Katranji, and at the Katranji Hand Center, which just recently opened down the street from the Somerset Mall, we can provide you with the latest in hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder care. Visit us at www.katranjihandcenter.com to learn the latest techniques that we have to offer you, and I look forward to taking care of you.
Visit us in Troy at 1565 West Big Beaver Road, Building F, or call Katranji Hand Center for an appointment at 248-869-4263. That's 248-869-4263.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. I would like to just thank Richard Jordan for being with us. Also, I'd like to thank Dr. Shamma for being with us, discussing vaccination, and Mr. Jordan discussed fasting and its benefits and how we can make it better. This is the time, and I'm talking about the month of Ramadan. This is the time of mercy and giving and being together and all of that. And I know it may be challenging for families to be together during this time or for inviting people. What I normally do is with my family here, we invite people over for iftar, for break and fast. But we're unable to do that right now. We were unable to do it last year, but we managed. We managed to get through. Anyway, I wish you productive Ramadan, productive fast. And don't forget to take care of the needy. This is the best time to do that. Take care of the needy. And this is one of the essence of Ramadan, is how we can take care of people who are less fortunate than we are, and we can share. Sharing is a wonderful thing. And I hope that we all learn from it, including myself. The more we share, the more we work together, the better. So I hope that we do that. And I hope that these things we do fosters into better relations among us and more tolerance. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to thank my guest. I want to thank Mike for a great production. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye now.